Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great night. I'm going to be checking out the new plugin from Excite Audio tonight, the KSHMR Chain. Excite Audio's a company that's only been on my radar for a few months, but I sure do love them. I reviewed their Lifeline console plugin a couple of months ago and was totally blown away with it. It's a really cool plugin, as is their Lifeline Expanse plugin. Both of them are really, really incredible. So I'm excited about this new release, their KSHMR Chain, which has been developed with producer, musician, DJ KSHMR, who is in the electronic house dance world. And this KSHMR plugin is a utility plugin. It's a workflow plugin. And that was something that was really apparent to me when I reviewed the Lifeline console. There's a lot of attention to detail in workflow from Excite Audio. And that's something that really, really appeals to me. I mean, that's where this whole stream and reviewing software idea came from, was that I'm constantly looking for ways to improve workflow, ways to improve creativity, and I'm looking for tools that help to do that and to enhance that. I work totally in the digital domain. I'm totally in the box, and I'm looking for tools that take advantage of that workflow. And when I tried out their Lifeline console, it was immediately apparent to me that there is a lot of detail and time and attention gone into the workflow of the plugin. So it really appealed to me. And lo and behold, the next thing that they released is a workflow specific plugin. I don't know much about Excite Audio. Actually, I know very, very little about them. Yeah, I sure do like them. They seem to be a really cool company. I really like the aesthetic. I'm a minimalist myself, and they have a very minimalist aesthetic to what they're doing. Not a lot of information available about where they are or where they're from or how they came to be. I'd love to know more. What their website does say about them is Excite Audio is a team of plugin specialists and audio fanatics with a passion for music software that fuels creativity. We create intuitive and inspiring software that streamlines the workflow of any producer. They sure live up to that in my experience with the console and the Expanse plugin. Excite Audio has just released a groundbreaking collaboration with world-famous musician and producer KSHMR. The KSHMR Chain is a forward-thinking utility that will make considerable improvement to mixing and mastering or mixing and production workflows. So yeah, the KSHMR Chain. Revolutionize your plugin chain. KSHMR Chain is an innovative utility that instantly copies your plugin chain from one track to countless others. Say goodbye to copy and paste. With the KSHMR Chain, you can fine-tune the settings of plugins across multiple tracks with a single twist and hear the cumulative effect of those changes in real time. Great for working with vocal stacks or groups of instruments. And I really think you can take that, even further and kind of rethink bus processing. And I think that's something that we're going to try in the review, is not processing the drum bus on the bus itself, but actually building up the drum bus treatment on all the individual tracks with the plugin. So I think that's a kind of a cool thing to think about as well. But certainly from a vocal stack perspective, or if you're treating a bunch of acoustic guitars that are playing the same thing, or you've got a stack of electric guitars that are doing the same thing, whatever it is, I think it's really cool. The only two other plugins that kind of come to my mind here that do something even remotely similar is the Studio Rack from Waves, which I love, and Blue Cat Audio Patchwork plugins. Both allow you to develop complex chains. The difference with this one is that it does have this lead-follow approach. Yeah, revolutionary leader-follow technology. So yeah, this is where it kind of separates itself. KSHMR Chain is powered by a forward-thinking concept that will make considerable improvement to your mixing and production workflow. The plugin comes in two parts, a leader plugin and a follower plugin. Add the leader on one track to load plugins, and then add the follower on a different track and then link them with a simple click. Plugins that kind of do this, I guess, already. I think like Waves NLS Summer does this, and the Slate VCC stuff does this, and the Universal Audio Studer A800 has a gang feature. So there are other plugins out there that do this, but not to the extent that this is allowing you to do it. You're going to be able to build up complex chains and control all the parameters. So any adjustments made to your plugin settings on the leader will be instantly carried out on all the followers linked to it, meaning you get immediate unison feedback from mixing decisions. That's amazing. Powerful macro control. Macros makes automating effects easy, and KSHMR Chain goes a step further by giving you centralized control of over up to 10 macro channels, so that's great. Within KSHMR Chain, you can assign any plugin parameter to a macro knob, and all you need to do is then automate that single macro control within your DAW and see the automation applied to the parameters of all your linked follower tracks. So the possibilities are endless. Create a macro using any number of plugin parameters from any number of plugins sent to any number of tracks. So you can get really creative with some of your automation and effects and all that kind of stuff. And the cool part about this is, yeah, like you can really rethink your workflow as far as buses go, especially if you are maybe a producer that has to do a lot of stemming out in order to get tracks ready for mix, or even if you're a mixer and you need to have extensive stems for your clients. This is a plugin that can kind of really revolutionize that workflow, because I know for me, my mix template's heavily built to stem out, but I am still stemming groups, and when artists want more detailed stems, that definitely becomes much trickier thing, because I am a bus process heavy person. I work a lot from the top down on mixes, and yeah, sometimes that really screws me in the stem world, creates some headaches. But this is a pretty interesting potential workaround. How are we going to test it? Well, I've got a session up here. There's some vocal stacks in it. And then, yeah, I want to try processing a group or two of instruments with it and see if it can kind of like rework our bus processing kind of workflow. Before I dig into the plugin and before we kind of go over all of it, I kind of have my own checklist before I even kind of dig into what the plugin's doing. These are just kind of quick things that I like to see if it's there, because yeah, I'm constantly looking for things to add to my workflow, or tools to add to my workflow. This isn't your typical plugin. This is a utility plugin, and this is something a little outside of the box. So it's not your standard EQ or compressor or distortion box or effects unit. So it is a little bit different. Some of my checklist may or may not apply to this plugin, but we'll go through it anyways, and we'll see what we come up with. The first thing is the user interface, the graphical user interface. How does this thing look? Does it look inspiring to use? Does it look fun to use? Does it look intuitive to use? Well, I already said I like Excite Audio's aesthetic. They have a real minimalist aesthetic. This looks very clean and very simple. We haven't loaded anything into it yet, so we're gonna find that out as we load some plugins in and see, but it's really, really clean, really simple, really minimal. That's something that I noticed with their console and expands plugins, is only what you need to see is there, and then you can actually, like on the console plugin and on expands, you can work really broad stroked, or you can get really in depth. So they really think their user interfaces through. And then can we resize it? And yeah, we can definitely resize it. Boom, 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 boom. So GUI looking good, we can resize it. Any sort of oversampling or latency, well, the plugin itself doesn't introduce any latency right off the hop. I've got the leader and the follower instances up here. We have no latency, but I mean, the minute, yeah, we add a plugin that has latency, we are going to introduce latency, but the plugin itself isn't adding any latency. I don't see any meters anywhere. I think I saw some meters pop up as we add plugins, so no meters, no input, no output on meters, no input or output knob that I can see at the moment. So I'm curious as to how that works. No AB and no undo that I can see. Do we have anything in here? No, that's our macros thing. I'm not a plugin developer. I'm not a programmer. I don't know how difficult those things are to implement into something that's as complicated as this. But if there is the opportunity for AB and undo on the plugin, I think that would be a real bonus. Mix knobs, I think I did see in some of the press material for this that there is mix knobs available on this. And then auto gain, I don't see any output options. I don't see any auto gain option. So I'd love to see auto gain on the output of the plugin. That'd be really cool. I'd like to see overall input and output meters. Maybe that'll change as I'm working on it, but not to have any sort of input or output information is interesting. But yeah, let's see what is in the plugin. What do we have here? Great thing about Excite Audio is that they have great tooltips on their plugins. So we have two different instances of this plugin. We have the leader and the follower. I will admit it threw me a little bit for a second that the plugin itself is not called KSHMR. It's called Chain. So if you're looking in your plugin folder for it, it's called Chain, leader, chain, follower, not KSHMR, leader, KSHMR, follower. So that took me a second to figure out, and but yeah, got it now. One cool thing that I was thinking about while I was just loading this up is because it does scan all of your plugins when you load this thing up. So it scans all of your audio units and VST plugins. So the cool part is that I thought immediately is that this is giving you a great VST wrapper or AU wrapper into Pro Tools if you're a Pro Tools user, which I am. So that's a win for me. So that's super cool. It does take a minute for it to scan all of your plugins. If you have lots of plugins like me, it'll take a minute. So be prepared for that when you're installing it, that it'll take a second to come on. So what do we have here on the leader plugin? Well, we have the sync, which I'm guessing is, sets all the followers to match the exact setting of the leaders. So this is our kind of our transmit button. We have a bypass. We have add plugins. Okay. So this is where we add our plugins and we see our categories, all favorite. So we can add our own favorites by the looks of it. Cool. Delay, distortion, dynamics, equalizer, effect suites, mastering, modulation, pitch, reverb, sidechain, special effects, stereo imaging, and utilities. Okay. And then here's all of our plugins. And we can easily handy dandy heart something there. So that pops in and out. So that's cool. And we can switch between what plugins we want to see. So that's cool because I don't need to see, I will typically have everything installed VST, VST3 and audio units. So just being able to quickly sort through that is nice. So VST folder and, so we can go straight to my VST folder. Cool. We have a rescan option. So that's awesome whenever you add new plugins, or you can rescan all. And as I said, that's going to take a minute if you have a lot of plugins. So what else do we have here? We have the browser. Oh, okay. So that's the plugin browser. So I can check that out here, or I can add a new plugin. Then we have our groups. We have how many groups? 1, 2, 14, 15 groups. 15 groups to set up, and then our macros thing, which we will have to play around with. Source, plugin, parameter, min, max, learn. Okay, got a bunch of macroses, and I'm wondering how many plugins we can add. I guess we'll have to try that out as well. Other things we have, save preset and initialize, I'm guessing. Yes. Okay, and then on our follower plugin, we have our link and our macros, and then we have bypass. Okay, well, let's dig in. Yeah, so we're going to test this on some lead vocals, and then, I think we're going to just try it quickly on a drum group and see if we can build a bit of an interesting chain. So the session I'm using is Darren Frank, Aaron Take, the incredible Darren Frank. Please go check him out.
Everything all the time. Everything all the time.
Whoa.
Working on a new plan.
What if I did that? Let's try that again.
But I don't really know why.
Okay, so I'm on group A. So I gotta make sure that my other two vocal tracks are linked to group A. Okay. And we'll just leave one of those up so that we can see. I wonder why it changed size so dramatically. Okay.
Running through an open field, swimming in the ocean, feeling like a little.
Okay, well let's build a bit of a vocal chain.
I'm working on a new plan.
We're gonna use Lifeline Console because we're reviewing.
But I don't really know why.
And that's okay. Pops up. Takes a second to pop up. Okay, so we can instantly see as we're adding plugins that between the default chain or the leader chain and the follower chain, it's just instantly adding the plugin. So that's great. It's doing exactly what it should do. So let's just make sure this is doing what it's supposed to do.
Running through an open field, swimming in the ocean, feeling like a little kid, opening the present, everything all the time.
So I'm just gonna mess with some EQ.
Everything all the time. I'm working on a new plan.
Get some drive happening.
But I don't really know why.
So we can see that this is seamlessly happening.
Clean cuts but the blood stains. It's running out through my cold veins. It's bigger than anyone. It's better than anything. Running through an open field, swimming in the ocean, feeling like a little kid, open in the present. Hey, I got a new thing, don't know how to put it down. Air intake,
Okay. So we got a little bit of EQ happening, a little bit of compression.
cage.
So looks like we can
See the way your heart beats.
engage the wet dry amount. So we can use this plugin totally in parallel, which is interesting.
Running through an open field,
So you can easily set up a parallel chain, which is great.
feeling like a little
And then what is this doing for us? It shows the change in RMS loudness caused by this plugin. Okay, so it is giving us some metering info, but not really any way to compensate for that. So yeah, input output meter would be a really cool thing here, I think, because it's cool that I can see that. But
everything all the time. Everything all the time.
well, let's just add their expanse plugin. So if I can use this in parallel, okay, changing plugins is a bit interesting. So let's bring up expanse,
Everything all the time.
and expanse is multiband.
Everything all the time.
There is multiband elements in expanse, so I'm curious as to how that will work if I'm doing it in parallel. So let's just get some reverb happening.
Clean cuts but the blood stains.
We get a little bit of drive happening.
Running out through my cold veins. It's bigger than anyone.
So yeah, I'm losing volume on the vocal and I can't easily turn it up.
Running through an open field.
So it's great that I get input, but I have no output, so that's a bit of a pain in the butt to use.
Open in the present. Hey, I got a new thing.
So if I can use this in wet dry,
Air intake.
so I've engaged the wet.
See the way your heart beats. Keep breathing.
It'd be great if I could have some of it.
Running through an open field, swimming in the ocean, feeling like a little kid.
So that's pretty cool. I know there's some multi-band elements in there, and I'm not getting that any phase, so it is phase coherent. So that's a W. Maybe I should just try that quickly with see if I can find a multi-band compressor of some sorts. So let's pop a multi-band in there.
Everything all the time.
Okay, so that keeps throwing
Everything all
me.
the time.
Let's see if I can use this. Let's just get a default
Working on a new
3
plan.
bands happening.
But I don't really know why.
And let's see if it's phase coherent here.
Cuts but the blood stains. It's running out through my cold veins.
Okay, so it is phase coherent.
It's better than anything.
So that's really cool to me. The fact that you can use multi-bands processors, wet dry on the track, and we're not running into any phase issues is really cool to me. So that's a big W. But yeah, not having the volume knob and being able to easily compensate for the gain as I'm processing these effects chains is a bit odd to me.
Running through an feeling like a little kid.
Because yeah, we're losing a lot of gain here, and I have no way to compensate for that other than to turn the filter up.
Don't wanna put it down. Everything all the time.
So yeah.
Everything all the time. I'm working on a new plan.
Okay, but let's add their expanse pack in.
But I don't really know why. Clean cuts but the blood stains. It's running hot through my cold veins. Oh, it's bigger than anyone.
Some tube drive happening.
It's better than anything. Running through an open field, swimming in the ocean, feeling like a little kid.
I'm wondering if there's the option for like, if I do want to add effects here, it looks like it's all mono. I'm wondering if there's an option for it to add kind of mono to stereo effects. Like, can we add any reverbs that are, like if I just go VST stereo room, but I'm not getting the stereo track, am I? No, it's not changing my stereo. It's not changing my track to a stereo track. So I have no way of adding a stereo effect, which is too bad. Okay, well let's add, I wonder how many plugins we can add here. How many plugins can we add? So seems like we can add more than we probably need. Where are we? Let's try and get past 10. Okay, 10's where we max out. So we can add 10 plugins. That's pretty great. Especially if you're like a Pro Tools user like me and you only get 10 inserts. That's where I think the Studio Rack was such a great plugin, or the Patchwork Audio plugin is great. It'd be great if Pro Tools expanded on that capability, because I'm pretty sure every other DAW doesn't limit your inserts. Okay, so far this thing's working as advertised, and it's cool that it's phase coherent. That's pretty awesome. Let's just quickly try automating something with the macros. So let's find a delay that I know well. Let's go with Echo Boy Jr. for right now, and we're gonna just add a reverb. Keep it simple. We will go with little plate. So we've added our delay and our reverb. Okay, so let's program a macros and see what that's all about. So we're gonna call it macro 1. We're going to add our Echo Boy Jr. and we're going to add our mix, because that's what we want to change. And we're also going to add to macro 1, we're going to add our little plate, and we will also add the mix there. So if we go back to the browser, if we pop our macros up, let me see you. Okay. So that's adjusting that. Okay, cool. And we'll just check what's happening on little plate. It's also adjusting my mix knob there. So this is cool. You can build some really complex features really, really quickly. So let's just try this out in context a little bit.
Everything all the time. Everything all the time. I'm working on a new plan, but I don't really know why.
So this is great. And then I'm guessing I can just like, can I quickly automate it? Okay, I can't enable automation within the plugin, but can I add automation there? Macro 1. So I can easily add macro 1 and all the parameters with it. Minimax. Okay, so that's pretty cool.
Everything all the time. Everything all the time.
It'd be cool if the macros just had like an on-off. So you can really easily do throws, but
I don't really know why. Clean cuts but the blood stains. It's running hot through my cold veins. Oh, it's bigger than anyone.
macros are cool. It'd be cool if you could rename the macros so you knew what they were within each instance, but... And we can easily move stuff around, so we can change our order very, very seamlessly. That's cool. And we can obviously bypass our plugins. It does take a minute for the plugins to load, so there's a bit of a lag in the plugin overall.
Like leaves in a teacup, we take almost nothing.
And if I unlink this, I can now individually edit this plugin, so that's cool as well. And then I can relink it, which would override any of the settings, but that's cool that I can pop it in and out of what it's doing very, very easily. So that's slick to me. Can't name any of our groups, can we? Can we easily name the groups? So group naming would be a great feature as well. So we've tried it out on some vocals here. So what I want to try it out on my drums here and see how it works across a whole drum mix. And then we can see how that works as far as building up a bus processor is concerned. So we need one leader, chain leader, and then we need a chain follower plugin. And we're going to say that this is group C, so we're going to make that group C. And maybe it doesn't work until I assign it. Or no, it takes a second. Okay, and then can I just copy these all over easily? Looks like I can. So yeah, let's try it out on some drums and see what and see how it works building up a processed kit.
Everything all the time.
Drop our vocal down a little bit.
Everything all the time. I'm working on a new plan, but I don't really know why.
Okay, let's get our Lifeline console back up.
It's running out through my cold veins.
And let's just make sure. Oh.
It's bigger than anyone.
Okay.
It's better than anything.
So we got two instances over here.
Through an open field, swimming in the ocean, feeling like a little kid, opening the present.
See, this is the benefit right here of being able to resize.
Don't know how to put it down. Every intake,
Okay, cool.
open up your ribcage. Hey. See the way your heart beats.
Okay, well let's just get a drum treatment going here. Instantly feels different trying to treat a whole kit this way. Especially like trying to add compression is gonna be really hard, but so I feel like I'm not able to treat the kit in the way that I want to. I can't get the kind of same thing that I'm after. I'm after some, like, I'm trying to get some distortion happening. I'm trying to get some glue on the kit happening. And that's that's not quite working as intended here. But we can also, maybe I just need to rethink about how I'm doing this and add some actual distortion boxes. It's just, so everything works in parallel, which is cool. And I guess this plugin should have a wet dry anyways, so I can just blend this into taste. But pretty neat that you can just kind of quickly like this build up a treatment, especially if you know that you're gonna have to individually stem things out, which is something I really make sure you talk to artists before you dig into their projects. Okay, so it does take a second to like, you maybe have to rethink about how you're treating buses. Might be hard to get away from some of that because, I mean, just for comparison's sakes, like, I just wanted to be able to quickly kind of distort my bus, compress my bus. And that's just a way easier bus treatment than but obviously I've got some reverb on there. Let's bypass that. So we're and a hard comparison to make because I don't have any output gain. Okay. I think I'm gonna recap. I think I've figured out everything I need to know. We're trying the KSHMR Chain plugin from Excite Audio. It's a utility plugin that's built for workflow, and it's really cool. It's really interesting. I don't think there's anything really out there doing what it's doing with the lead follow aspect of it. So the fact that I can change one of my plugins, I can have a leader plugin and it just follows. So I can make changes very quickly on stacks of vocals or stacks of instruments and change things really quickly. That's really cool. I can't think of anything else that's doing that. Lots of cool features in here. I think the fact that you can instantly, if you're a Pro Tools user, you have a VST and an audio units wrapper immediately available to you. I think that's really cool and a big bonus and upgrade because there's lots of great VST and VST plugins that are just not available to Pro Tools users unless you have some other sort of wrapper. But yeah, as far as that workflow aspect goes, being able to quickly, as we did there on the vocal, just kind of quickly get the vocals set up and built is really cool. I didn't have to like listen to one vocal and then see, is this gonna work? And then copy and paste it. It's instantly manipulating all the vocals at the same time. Super slick. Really cool. The fact that you can use multi-band plugins in parallel and they're phase coherent is really cool as well to me. The wet dry feature is awesome, and you can get up to 10 instances of 10 plugins within an insert is also really cool to me. It expands your plugin capability within Pro Tools anyways. I know your other DAW users already got it made in that department. You can just keep adding plugins. The macros feature is really cool. We were able to quickly quickly build a macros to bring our reverb and a delay in and out of the vocal, and you can automate that. That's all really great. You can't, in Pro Tools, you can't make this, I can't quick key the automation, which it would be great if I could. You have to go into the automation menu. It definitely makes some workflow really quick, and you can do things pretty seamlessly. There is a bit of lag using the plugin, so loading instances, and that makes sense to me. You're asking it to add more than one instance. It's going to take a second, but there is a little bit of lag there. We tried it on some drums there, tried processing a group instead of treating it as a bus and a top down. We tried building a treatment overall on the drums, and that didn't really work the same for me. So I was kind of curious to see how that would work. That's more of an experiment than maybe necessarily what this plugin was designed to do, but kind of cool to see. And I noticed while I was doing it, made me think differently about how you would treat buses, and I'm kind of curious to explore that more. Things I would like to see, or things that I noticed. The biggest thing for me as I was using this is there's just no output knob and no input knob. So input and output and some sort of meters would be really a benefit. Mostly the output, because there was no way for me to regain up really easily without having to go to the fader. And then there's no real easy way to bypass and hear my chain gain matched. The ability to A/B would be really cool. That'd be something I'd really like to see. These are really small things, but being able to name the macros would be great, and also being able to name the groups would be really cool, so that, if I have to pull this mix up and it's something that I did a month or 2 months ago, or God, if I'm having to go back into it a year or 2 years later, which happens, that I'm not having to really in-depth figure out what's happening. I can kind of leave myself some notes. So some naming features would be great. And then the ability to go from mono to stereo instances, I think would be really great. So that if I do want to have things in stereo, if I know I'm going to want that source in stereo, because I can't apply any reverbs or delays in stereo at the moment, at least not that I'm aware of. So maybe I'm it's something that I've missed, but I can't seem to see how I could get a stereo reverb onto my vocal. The big one for me is the no input and output. That would be the first thing that I would look for in an upgrade to this plugin. But definitely the fact that you could quickly and easily build your chains in real time and hear them, especially if you're somebody who works on stacks and stacks of things. I think this is a real win of a plugin for that kind of stuff. And you can easily build chains and save them within this plugin and recall them instantly. I'm a big track preset user in Pro Tools, and this is just another way of doing that, which would allow you to quickly get to where you're going, or pull up, or say you really like this drum treatment, you can just easily save it, and it's faster than saving a track preset, that's for sure, in Pro Tools. It's really simple and easy to use. It felt very intuitive while using it, and the fact that you can just move things around and power things on and power things off. It's pretty slick. Yeah. Excite Audio. I hope they let me know more about them. They're a very interesting company to me, and this is a really unique tool, as are their other two plugins. So I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you're somebody that's working on stacks and stacks of vocals, or stacks of the similar kind of instrument. If you're layering guitars or whatever you're layering up, I think this is a real win of a plugin. And I'm sure as I would work with it more, just really slick and fun, which is how I feel about their other plugins as well. So yeah, if you're catching this on YouTube and you're enjoying the content, please hit the subscribe and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think of the plugin or the review. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. Have a great night, and thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. Take care.